If I asked you right now to categorize yourself, what would you say? Lower class, middle class, or upper class? Well, keep that answer in your head for a second. Welcome to Dollar Playbook. I'm Taylor Reed. In today's explainer, we're going to unpack the true definition of wealth, figure out exactly where you stand, and show you how to actually measure your financial progress without all the stress.
So, when you answered that question just a second ago, what did you base your guess on, right? Most of us, we just guess based on how we feel. Maybe the size of our paycheck, the neighborhood we live in, or the car we drive. But here's the problem. Wealth class actually has absolutely nothing to do with any of those things. It comes down to one highly specific metric. And honestly, when most of us calculate it, we find out we aren't exactly where we thought we were.
Section 1. Income is not wealth. Let's meet Tyler.
So Tyler is 34 years old. He's a marketing manager pulling in $85,000 a year. He's got a decent apartment, drives a really nice 2022 sedan, and he puts a little bit away into his 401k every month. Tyler feels solidly middle class. But let's look at his actual math, using some benchmarks inspired by the Federal Reserve's Survey of Consumer Finances. Looking at his assets, he has a $22,000 car, $12,000 in that 401k, and $3,000 in savings, so that's $37,000 total. But flip over to the debt side. He owes $18,000 on that car and $26,000 in student loans, bringing his total debts to $44,000. So when we take his $37,000 in assets and subtract his $44,000 in debt, Tyler's actual number is negative $7,000. He isn't middle class. This math actually places him firmly in the bottom 25% of Americans. And millions of people are in his exact position. They're earning a great income, but they're sitting on a negative wealth number.
The absolutely crucial point here is understanding this definition. Net worth. Your income is not your wealth. Your net worth is. It is simply everything you own, like your home, savings, and investments, minus everything you owe, like your mortgages, student loans, and credit card debt. That single number, not your paycheck, determines your true spot on the wealth ladder.
Section 2. Climbing the wealth ladder. The absolute brackets.
Let's start from where Tyler is right now. The bottom 25% of households have a net worth under $23,000. And a huge misconception is that this group is just minimum wage workers. It's really not. It is full of people earning $60,000, $70,000, or $80,000 a year, whose lifestyle creep and debts just completely wipe out their assets. Now moving one step up to the lower middle class, which ranges from $23,000 to $179,000. To get here, you have to eliminate debt or grow assets. But honestly, most people in this tier didn't get here by being brilliant investors. They got here by buying a house. Their net worth is mostly just home equity.
Section 3. The liquid wealth trap. The illusion of the median.
Now, what's really interesting is how the middle actually breaks down. The exact midpoint of American household wealth is $193,000. Half of America has more, half has less. But take a close look at the composition of that median household. $120,000 of that is locked up in home equity. $50,000 is in retirement accounts, and maybe $15,000 is sitting in savings.
So if you strip away the house, the median liquid financial cushion, meaning the actual money a household can access and use, is only $30,000 to $40,000. This is incredibly important to grasp because, well, you cannot buy groceries with home equity. You can't use it to pay a surprise medical bill unless you take on even more debt. What this means is that half of American households are highly vulnerable to unexpected emergencies, even if their net worth looks perfectly fine on paper.
Let's move up and see how this builds in the higher brackets. From $193,000 to $610,000, we enter the upper middle class. Here, a fundamental shift happens. People transition from accidental wealth, like just paying down a mortgage, to intentional wealth building. They max out their 401ks and they hold strategic, low-interest debt. Now, once you cross $610,000 into the upper class, compound growth really takes over. At this stage, stretching up to $1.72 million, investments become the largest asset, officially overtaking home equity. Because of compounding, it actually takes way less time to go from $600,000 to $1 million than it did to go from $0 to $600,000.
And then we reach the threshold for the top 10%, $1,720,000. At this level, wealth works completely differently. A portfolio of this size, earning just a modest 4% annual return, generates about $69,000 a year in passive income. To put that into perspective, that is a full median salary generated entirely by investments without ever touching the principal balance. The money is literally working harder than most people do.
Section 4. Your age changes everything. The real benchmarks. Okay, let's pause here for a second. Because everything we just looked at lumps a 25-year-old and a 65-year-old into the exact same bucket, which, let's be honest, makes no sense. The wealth ladder is not one size fits all. According to the Federal Reserve, the median net worth for households under 35 is $39,000. For ages 35 to 44, it jumps to $136,000. 45 to 54 is $247,000, and 55 to 64 is $365,000. The quote-unquote normal target completely changes depending on your current decade of life.
And this brilliantly illustrates the tough reality for Tyler. Remember our 34-year-old with a negative $7,000 net worth? Well, against the overall population, he's in the bottom 25%. But compared to his peers under 35, where the median is $39,000, he is significantly behind. He's sitting roughly at the 10th percentile for his specific age group, meaning 90% of households his age have a higher net worth. He is missing out on that crucial compounding time that others his age have already utilized.
Section 5. 3 Paths to Build Wealth and Taking Back Control.
Now, if you find out you're behind, remember this. That is just information. It is not failure. You have time to take back control. So let's look at 3 actionable paths for Tyler moving forward. Path 1 is coasting. He does nothing different. He just pays the minimums on his student loans and his car, contributes a bare minimum 2% to his 401k, and spends the rest. At this pace, by age 54, his net worth might reach $120,000. That is well below the median for his future peers. That's 2 whole decades of earning a solid income and barely moving the needle.
Path 2 is intentional. Tyler cuts his discretionary spending and frees up $700 a month. He aggressively clears his student debt in about 4 years and then redirects that entire $700 a month into investments. He also buys a modest house. By making these small, disciplined changes, by age 54, his portfolio and home equity push him to a net worth of about $500,000. That puts him securely in the upper middle class and easily at the 75th percentile for his age group.
Finally, Path 3 is aggressive. Tyler actively pushes his income to $110,000 through skill development or maybe a job switch, but here's the key, he lives on his original budget. So now he's investing $1,500 a month. He clears his debt in 3 years, and he house hacks a duplex, meaning he lives in one unit and rents the other to cut housing costs while building equity. By age 54, his investment portfolio and real estate equity launch him to a net worth of roughly $1 million.
Just look at the dramatic difference between these paths over time. Coasting leaves him at $120,000. Intentional gets him to $500,000. Aggressive pushes him over $1 million. What you really need to take away from this explainer is that all 3 of these paths started from the exact same person with the exact same negative $7,000 baseline. No inheritance, no lottery tickets, just the amazing compounding effect of intentional decisions over 20 years.
The research in this explainer makes one thing perfectly clear, and it brings us to this incredibly powerful quote. Hoping is not a wealth strategy. Climbing the wealth ladder isn't fixed. People move up it every single day, not by guessing, and definitely not by crossing their fingers, but by doing the math and taking intentional action that actually matches their goals. The most powerful financial advantage you can have isn't necessarily a high income right out of the gate. It's simply knowing exactly where you are today and understanding the math it takes to get where you want to be tomorrow. Run your own numbers. Take back control. So what will your true wealth number look like 10 years from now? Thank you everyone for joining me today on this explainer. If you found these practical lessons helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to Dollar Playbook for more clear, everyday financial strategies. I'm Taylor Reed, and I'll see you next time.